I used to like Deku. Not anymore. My Hero Academia is a series I hold dearly in my heart, but my god, being a fan of this show nowadays is an uphill battle. When you don't have to deal with Horikoshi forgetting how to write interesting characters and conflict after doing so perfectly fine for years, you can watch Studio Bones completely drop the ball when it comes to directing the anime so they can make more Sakuga slop movies. And then there's the fanbase, which shouldn't be an issue, I know. A fanbase should have no bearing on the actual product itself. But MHA discourse is so tiring. I'm so tired of it. But none of these bring as much ache to my soul as seeing one of my favorite main characters go from so unique and interesting to easily the most boring MC I've ever... Actually, that's a lie. Tanjiro is worse. Okay. What made Deku so interesting early on in the series is just how much different he had to interact with the world around him compared to everyone else. It's a lot less pronounced by even Season 2, but Deku's powers turning him into a glass cannon, combined with him naturally having an analytic mind, made his encounters with danger not only exciting, but more nuanced than anything else. Obviously, Deku would grow stronger as the series went along, but he still had to learn to control his powers and find creative ways of using them at low pressure. What's cool about this is that the audience gets to go on this journey with him, like during the ball throwing thing at the beginning of the series where he concentrates one for all into a single finger instead of destroying his entire arm. And then he just kind of starts spamming the finger thing for a while until he discovers full cowling where he can distribute the power evenly through his body, and it's really fun to see him constantly find new ways of using this singular power. Deku changes his entire fighting style after wrecking his arms like way too many times, and it creates this expectation that, damn, actions have consequences. If he keeps going, he'll lose his arms and he won't be able to get them back. But then Horikoshi had a little quirky idea. Give him 7 quirks. Shonen power escalation is a bit... Is it funny that Deku can now solo the entire JJK verse? Yes. Does that make Deku more interesting? No. And the natural consequence for Deku having multiple quirks means that he's not nearly as analytical or quick-witted as he was in the earlier seasons. But you know what's worse than making your character's fights boring? Making your character boring! A few years ago, I would have defended Deku with my life. Too many shonen bros want all of their main characters to fit this weird power fantasy nonsense. They just want to post clips of the MC captioned, "He's him! He's the GOAT!" How are you so lame that you feel the need to live out being cool through a cartoon character? I actually like that Deku was more of an emotional, sentimental character that could cry and act like a human being, but it's so strange to me that as the series went on, this hyper-emotional teenage boy, who also happens to be extremely observant and analytical, has nothing to say about the current state of a society he wishes to join. I always feel like I've missed an episode or a chapter or something. MHA has had the bulk of its second half be dedicated to the flaws in hero society and the consequences of those flaws, and those themes have actually been in the series since day one, and Deku was a victim of this society's frankly warped perception of justice and heroism, and yet there is so little insight to how Deku feels about any of this. Despite the show trying to make a point about the failings of hero society, the main character is never confronted with these failings at all. Once again, we know why Deku wants to be a hero. We know how Deku views heroism. But like, what about everything else? Genuinely, maybe I missed something. Put something in the comment section if I did. And the series is just constantly creating these really interesting ideas with Deku and never really going anywhere with them. The whole Dark Hero arc is one of the most embarrassing displays of character development I've ever watched, and it's annoying because it's kind of intriguing at the beginning. Like, Deku has realized he's a danger to everyone around him because of his special power, and he also believes that he has to be the one to take care of the villains roaming around because of course he does. That's what he thinks being a hero is all about. He neglects his own well-being because 1, his society has taught him to value his worth as a hero over everything else. 2, he's always admired a man who would do the exact same thing, and 3, his mind is not in the right place, and he's suffering from some serious mental health issues. This is good. This is the type of character writing I was expecting from my hero, and when it showed up, I got really excited because I assumed the series would finally be getting out of a slump it had been for the last few seasons, and like, it would become good again. There's a shot in the opening theme for this arc. It's just Deku's edgy mask being broken only to reveal he's crying underneath it, and I really like this. The way the story goes about doing this, though, it's really weird. So all of his classmates come and chase him, and then Bakugo is like, sorry for being a meanie, Izuku, and then that's it. That's how that internal character conflict is resolved. I'm going to become the Joker. Years of trauma, social conditioning, the pressure of the world literally collapsing around you, it's all fixed with some sentimental words from people who, may I remind you, he is known for less than a year. And Bakugo, of course. I don't know, I just don't buy this. You know who could have been the one to get Deku to stop acting crazy? Maybe the guy he's looked up to his entire life. Nothing I liked about this character is even present anymore. He's not a strategist underdog because he's got the 7 Chaos Emeralds in his blood. He's not interesting to watch because he basically has no reaction to the world around him. And I keep wondering why these recent seasons have felt so boring to me. And I finally have my answer. It's because none of the stakes really matter on an emotional level. I recently finished season 2 of Invincible, a much better superhero show by the way, and it's crazy how much every single aspect of being a superhero affects Mark's life, and personality, and outlook on life, to the point where you can feel just as afraid and anxious as he does when something terrible might happen. I don't want MHA to be like Invincible, and it shouldn't be, but I just want Deku to feel like a character again. I don't know how to explain it more than I have now, but Deku just feels like a vehicle to move the story forward. He feels like his only purpose now is to just keep going. And that's boring. MHA has become boring. But who knows, it can always bounce back. Season 7 is right around the corner, oh my god, and apparently it's pretty good according to the manga readers. But they said that about the war arc, and I thought it was pretty garbage, so who cares what they think?